Open out the fingers and just do that bigger move. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have the hands under the shoulders, but we're going to bring our knees together. We're going to extend that right leg, and then you're going to take your right hip and you're going to rotate it up towards the ceiling and then come back down. So what you're doing is you're moving the pelvis over the top of the supporting knee, the head of the femur. So you're extending your leg, you're lifting, your hips rotating towards the ceiling, and then that top hip is rotating towards the inner thigh on the supporting leg. So it's quite a stretch in the hip. So top hip moves up towards the ceiling, and then it rotates in towards the inner thigh. Just find the stretch in your supporting leg, the head of the femur in the hip, that feels comfortable for you. So I'm quite tight in this hip. It's just a nice mobilization of the hip itself, turning in towards the inner thigh, turning up towards the ceiling. Bring yourself into level and then bring your knees together. Extend your other leg, left leg. You're going to turn the hip towards the ceiling. You're going to turn the hip towards the inner thigh on the supporting leg. So hip to ceiling, hip to inner thigh. I'm actually stiffer on this side. Hip to ceiling, inner thigh. So I've got a compensation going on. Hip to ceiling, hip to inner thigh. So work at a safe range. Just work within your stiffness, within your limitations. One more up, one more down. Come back to level and bring your knees together, sitting into your heels, and by now you probably want to relax those wrists again. Open and close. So coming up into knees, and we'll come over off of the legs, which will be nice now, so get off the feet, come to the end of the mat. We're just going to do some rollback, so we're giving our wrists a rest. So just take stock of how tight you might feel through your lumbar spinal muscles, through the muscles in the lower rib cage. I'm always very tight across the bottom third of my rib cage. So you're trying to find your C curve, you're tucking your ribs under in the front, you're tucking your tailbone under to create that curved spine. You could take your hands away. Just find your range, find where you can come out of it easily without that sort of silent groan. And we're just using repetition just to get into the tight fascia. So in the body, this is the place where there's the most tightness, and this is the place where the fascia is the deepest. So we've got quite a concentration of fascia through the mid-back. We're just waking it up, we're hydrating it a little bit. One more. So just kick out the legs, drop the head, do some very gentle bounces, nose to knees, and just again, feel that thoracolumbar fascia through here, and just find what feels good. And the belly's pulling up under the ribs, so your spine feels very supported. There's no jarring, there's no jerking, it's not a bounce. Again, it's a stretch and release, not a bouncy type move. Come back into center. So this one, feet hip space, and we're going to put our hands on cross them over on our chest, drop our chin. We're going to tuck the ribs under. We're going to do a little half roll back, and then we're going to do a little twist and pull the belly button to the back of your spine, and then curl back into center. So the secret of this exercise is not to make it too big, make it smaller, more control. So you're tucking under, little half turn the other way, pull the belly button to the back of the spine, and come back into center. So rolling, rotate, belly button to the spine. So less is more. Your spine wants to feel that it can easily stabilize the range that you're choosing. Make sure you're not leading with the head. So if your head's doing this, you're going to go further and you're not going to be in control. So keep the chin tucked. Don't involve the neck at all. One more. So my abs are starting to complain now because it's a really, really good isolation. One more to the left. Come back in. So it doesn't need to be a big move to be effective. Just pull your belly up under your ribs. Do that little gentle stretch again. So the abs are resting, the back is stretching. So now you've sort of figured out what your range was. Come back to feet, hip space. Take the hands long, you're looking at your thumbs. Pull the belly button to the back of the spine and just go to where you can easily see your thumb. And then come back in. Don't let the thumb go out of view. Belly button to spine. Look at your thumb. So if you can see your thumb, the vertebra in the neck is doing the same thing as the vertebra in the rib cage. If you're looking beyond the thumb, your neck is doing something different to the vertebra in the rib cage. So that is not a safe thing. So just find where you can see your thumb, imprint those abs even more to come back in, sort of 70% to go out, 100% to come in. Just drop your head between your knees and just give yourself a little bit of a rest. So balance point. You're going to bring your feet together at the end of your mat. You're going to hold behind your knees and you're just going to tuck your tailbone under, tuck your ribs under. So it's a half roll back. And then you're just going to float one leg. The knees are level. You come back in. So with the balance point, you're rolling away to the place where your leg feels like it almost seems a little bit lighter. So it's just about finding that perfect point where the legs are relatively easy to lift. So if you try to lift your leg before you reach balance point, it would feel like it was twice as heavy. That's good. And again, it's good low ab work going on. So if you wanted to make this harder, you take the hands away, but make the arms match the direction of the leg, parallel with the leg. So there's your half teaser. Squeeze your thighs and your knees together. I always think of a magnet when I do this. So as you go into your magnet shape, you're pulling into the center of the magnet through those abs. So you're floating and you're deeply imprinting your abs. Come back in. Kick the legs out. Have a little rest. Pull the belly up under the ribs and just give yourself a moment just to rest those abs. So coming back into knees bent. And we're going to just do the balance point again, but just to the point where we could float both feet. So it's exactly the same thing. You roll away to the point where the legs feel light enough that they could float. So if you do it too soon, those legs won't want to come off the floor. You're just hovering, you're deeply imprinting your belly, so everything's pulling into spine. It's really strong ab work, even though it doesn't look like you're doing very much. Come into table position. You can take the hands away, that's a lot harder. So I actually prefer holding the legs because as you hold the legs, you pull against the back of your legs to activate your upper back muscles. And so now you're ready to roll and come back up. Keep your chin tucked. You're looking into the pelvis. You don't want the neck doing anything in this. It's all part of the curve. And the place that's active is the upper back as you pull against the back of your legs. You lift your elbows. Abs are active. They're pulling up under the ribs. And just do about 10. You're massaging your whole of your back muscles, those long muscles of your back. So it's called the back massage, this one. And again, so it's just learning to use the curve of your body to become more efficient in this movement so that you're not stiff, you're not feeling your neck, your shoulders. You're just feeling the massage of the back. Last one. Brilliant. Just take the legs forward, slide the hands down the shins, pull the belly in, take a breath. So when you're ready now, you're just going to bend your knees. We're going to do a slow roll down. See how slowly you could roll down without actually stopping still in one place, and pull the belly button hard to the back of the spine so that you come down with control. Have your feet at hip space. And we're going to just float the right knee. You're going to put your right hand at the front of the knee, and you're going to create opposition. You're going to press the hand into the knee and the knee into the hand and come back down. So it's an isometric press. So do it with the left leg. Press, feel those abs, release. Keep a little bit of a space in the small of the back. Don't press your belly button into the floor. Pressing 1, 2, 3. Come back down. 1, 2, 3. Come back down. Abs engaged, level pelvis, float the right knee, float the left knee, feet together but knees at the width of your shoulders, and press with both hands. That's quite a bit harder. 1, 2, 3, and then just hug your knees. So come back into your tabletop. Your femurs, your leg bones should be pointing straight up to the ceiling. You're pressing against the front of your knees. Feel those abs working. 1, 2, 3, and relax. Hug your knees. 2 more. So come back into table. Press the front of your knees. Feel those abs. 1, 2, 3. Releasing. So last one. Into tabletop. Pressing the knees. 1, 2, 3. And hug your knees. This time bring your head into your knees and just give your whole spine a little bit of a stretch. But add a side to side wiggle. So just really stretching the spine. Gently down with the head, and we're going to take the feet down 1 and 2. So nice level pelvis, a bit of a hollow in the back. We're going to extend our right leg, just level with the pelvis. We're going to lift and lower. And the height of the leg is really dependent on how tight your hamstrings are. Okay, so if you've still got a bit of a space in the small of the back, you might not be able to go really high with the leg. If you're not sure, put your hand in there. If you feel yourself pushing into the hand, you know that you're going a little bit too far. So my range is increasing as I repeat this. Last one. So take that foot to the floor, level up through the pelvis, slide your left leg out, up and down. So just relaxing those hamstrings a little bit. Compare the two sides. I'm a little bit looser on this side. Just keep repeating until it starts to feel a little bit freer. Last one. Bend the knee, place the foot on the floor. So just bring your knees into table, heels together, and just see if you could lift and lower through double legs. Not too big a range. You could let your belly button drop slightly on this. You're going between the ceiling and what looks like about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock from where you're viewing this. Double straight leg lowering, it's quite a hard one. And hug your shins. So really waking up your abs quite quickly. So link your fingers, hands under your head. Float your head, your belly button's pushing into the floor. You're lifting the feet towards the ceiling. You're going to come down a little bit. You're going to come up a little bit. Coming down a little bit. Coming up. Maybe your hamstrings are tight and it looks a little bit more like this. You're lowering a little bit. Just use the weight of those legs to work your abs. Lowering a little bit. Come back up and hug your knees and give yourself a good stretch. So that's quite a strong one to go straight into.